Green light. Good evening. We interrupt this airwaves tonight to talk about a very serious subject that Jimmy's gone crazy.
Just turning my phone off here because I've got our YouTube broadcast here on Facebook here. This has been blowing up airwaves all day here.
Yeah, Rogaine is not in stores anymore.
Oh no!
The Buffalo News has lost its touch with the fan base. That Shope and the Bulldog are like going after the owners.
Oh really?
No, not really. Well, sarcastically.
Okay, so we'll cut
our point. Go ahead, you can make the point.
Okay, so breaking news from.
It's ain't breaking anymore. It's been reported
this morning. Early this morning, Dan Bylsma and Tim Murray have been let go by the Sabres organization here. I want by Sabres today as of 10 o'clock this morning here. It was broke on the Instagram show on MSG this morning around 10 o'clock this morning. So obviously a big shocker to both. A big shocking announcement this morning. Initial. We've had 7 hours to digest. No, it's more like 9 hours to digest the whole scenario here. Let's just start with what are your reactions to this news here? I think
I will. You want the news? You want my thoughts? I'll give you my thoughts, but I'll let you start off.
First of all, it's a shock, a big shock that both Tim and Dan were fired today. I think there was a lot of speculation for the last couple of weeks about Dan's job in question, but honestly, I don't think anybody expected this bombshell of Tim and Dan both being let go.
I think people are expecting one of them would be gone, mostly likely be Dan, but I don't think people expected Murray to be gone.
Yeah, this was, to be honest, was out of the blue. I mean, I don't think anybody saw this.
I don't want to say this was totally out of the blue.
Well, it's out of the blue in the timing, like both Dan and like both of them be gone. It's we're gonna there's so many angles to dissect. I'm not totally surprised. I'm not totally surprised with Dan Bylsma, but when you fire the coach and the general manager. Hold on 1 second.
NBC is going to talk about the firing of Dan
Bylsma.
First of all, I can understand why fans wanted Bylsma gone. Man, things did not go well. There's been a lot of things said over the past few weeks about the disconnect between players and the coaches. I said yesterday to someone to not expect anything until it's official. I was surprised myself today that it would be official. But I never expected that it would be both GM and coach. I really didn't. I would have thought I would give Murray another year, especially after his press conference last week. He took accountability, he took responsibility. I think everybody did. And I was willing to give both of them at least another year starting the next season. I don't think Jack Eichel's involved in this decision either.
Let's talk about that first. There was report out of the Buffalo News that Jack Eichel, quote, would not sign a session with Buffalo unless Boswell was removing the coach. Now, it later came out to state that
as well as Eichel, as well as Eichel.
Paul Eichel, that was
Although Paul Hamilton of WGR reported about this yesterday, as well as multiple outlets. That, it's just
for again this, but later it was refuted by Jack Oaks and also Jack Eichel that was not entirely the case. That's what really seemed.
I wouldn't want Dave Noyes as a GM.
Well, that's what really started this whole thing yesterday. Or what said?
Do you think the firing of Sutter and Lombardi had something to do with this?
Well, before I get to that, I wanted to address the Eichel's comments yesterday, because this was kind of the thing in motion. Obviously, there's a meeting between T. Murray and the general manager and Terry Pagula, the owner. There's again, the comments were made yesterday, but which number one, I don't buy because I think Jack wanted to be here long term. The coach my department was irrelevant to me, because I felt like at the time, I don't think Jack wasn't. There's nothing impression that Jack would want to have his coach fired. Now, that without being said, could there have been there's the overall consensus seemed like a disconnect between players, coaches, but also or coach and manager about the direction of the team. There's been reports of disconnect for the last you saw it in the press conference between the players and teams. Now, not all of them, but it kind of was suggested, maybe there was some disconnect between Dan Bylsma, wanting to be Tim Murray in his press conference about wanting more player accountability, but also wanting the coach to have more communication between player and coach relationship. So that was clearly evident.
And not to say Dan's not a good coach. I feel like people are getting a notion that Dan was a bad coach or is a bad coach because this, that, whatever the case may be, with the line changes they did and everything, and just maybe the reports. I don't think Dan's a bad coach. I think it's a combination of how Tim Murray assembled this roster, especially with the defense. And the other factor you got to consider is, yes, that there was inconsistency in games, especially after the All-Star break. So it's, I mean, you could look at all angles. I watched Instigator's show today, and Craig Gervais and Matt Ellis and Andrew Pierce talk about it, and I respected everything they had to say. I agree with them. On the flip side of the coin, I listened to Shope and the Bulldog a little bit, and I don't blame them one bit for wanting to place question ownership's accountability. I think that's fair. However, I feel like they were reacting more with their heart with their head.
Okay, so now this is kind
So what was Milbury saying on the screen?
He's been in a situation before.
I mean your microphone. I'm sorry. Repeat that.
Yeah. So Maury, this is the tough part of. I mean,
What were his full comments?
No, I'm not going to comment. We'll listen later.
Are you recording it?
Situation. I am recording it.
Oh,
but
good.
It's difficult the situation here. Obviously, this is year 2 of a rebuilding process for the Buffalo Sabres.
And you
Obviously,
could question the Toronto Maple Leafs influence on
Whoa,
this. But
you're
just,
already jumping to stuff here, and
I'm just bringing up the point. I mean,
I
you
know
can,
you're bringing up points here, but it's like we're jumping around already, and I'm like, I have so much. I don't have my thoughts here. Totally, you got here. To be honest with you, so what were you? I'm sorry. This is to heel back off. The events surrounding. A month ago, the Sabres had a bye week. They were playing with Chicago. They they had 2 games against Colorado and Arizona and lost those 2 games. Then you look at then you they should have won and didn't. Then you look at the Philadelphia game where we were at. The Philadelphia game where like the inconsistent, like we probably won 4-1 against Iowa, but then it's like the inconsistency was a big issue. There's a lot of things that you can point. We're going to try to dive into all the scenarios here about how and why this happened. But to say the least here, moving forward, there's gonna whoever's gonna come is gonna have a lot of work to for the expansion draft, the defense board is in need of a boost because that was a big issue. But I think the big question.
I think the biggest thing they've regressed. But go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I think that's the starting part. It's like, it was only a few points short of last season, but this is similar to what happened in Edmonton for 2 years, where you get all these draft picks, and, stinkers. That's enough.
I'm sorry about that. I apologize. Loud noises. Sorry for our animals were going. Our animals were having a little bit of a fun with us. The show.
I'm gonna move my seat over here for 1 second.
Hey, that's fine.
Just trying to regather my thoughts here. Sorry for the interruption. That way,
I might go off on this show in a little bit, not because of the animals, but for some of the Buffalo news again. So,
let me just
warning on that one.
Well, let me just ask you this here. There's gonna now that it's a sad day nonetheless to see, but this does open up a lot of options for the Sabres to go after. I mean, I guess Jesus, cat is going nuts today. Tonight. Yeah, I think what's frustrating is that okay, going back to the original point, it's frustrating that it's been 2 years since rebuild here, and now the general manager and coach have been fired.
It's been more than 2 years into the rebuild. It's just a fact of meaning.
And then all of a sudden now, this you wonder, if Terry saw something. I'm not, but the good saw something when you're talking to players that you're like. That really, like, man, I don't like the direction I'm going. I need to make a change here. Because to me, that's what it seems like it could be like an overreaction to what was an injury-plagued season.
I don't think it was an overreaction, if you want my honest opinion. it could have been done sooner, at least for the coaching. If you're going to fire Bylsma, you should have done it when you had the chance. And I think this
No,
year we were
well,
shocked with the moves that Tim Murray didn't make to try to bolster his lineup, and maybe it just you could talk about the prospects he gave up and all those trades he made.
you're talking about the Kulikov trade last year.
Well, Pizik.
The Pittsburgh
That might be
and then
the kicker.
the
Probably is the big kicker for maybe
well, let's go back to that trade because when originally you made the trade, I think a lot of people were excited about the move. A lot of people remember we needed a left-hand shot D,
a little bit more physical,
a little bit more physical,
but like puck moving.
And puck moving. So I think
Pizik was that, but
not the flash one. So, but unfortunately, at the time, it just didn't pan out the way I think a lot of teams are expecting to. I think certainly injury had a factor to it.
Here's what nobody really talks about, though. Johan Larsson, after a certain point, when Eichel and O'Reilly were injured, I think that had a major part and partly why the Sabres weren't as a success as they were.
Not having that third line of Berlino, Larson, Giannis.
That ever expected. I think that there's a big reason why.
Well, yeah, I do agree with that, but the overall sense here, there's a lot of things you could point to.
No, not disagreeing with that. Go ahead.
But parts of the season where you go back to the games against Boston in December. Those 2 games where they lost. That's 4 points there. Another 4 points against
Arizona and Colorado.
Oh,
I think you already mentioned it.
I mentioned that. So again, it's point that's in like 10, 15 points right there. The shootout, but the inconsistency of the team. Some days they were beat elite team. Another time
like Chicago, St. Louis,
or Pittsburgh. And then you just sit scratching that or appear later, but like, what in the heck is this team? Who is this team? That shows up. It's just been that's been the theme all year has been inconsistency. Whether it's been injury in lineup injuries and people in non-lineup, the play of the defense. There's a lot of again.
I think the defense, except for maybe Ristolainen
or
and McCabe, had a lot of shortcomings.
Exactly.
And I don't agree with Schulpen and Bog's assessment that Ristolainen will not be a lead defenseman. I can understand the statistic wise.
Statistic wise, he was not agreeing when he's on the ice here. Now is that now?
Maybe it was coaching too, but it wasn't Terry Murray that's supposed to be the defense guru too.
Yeah, you pointed out there's a lot, and I think what the reason why we're bringing up because I think what as I said, what really I'm sorry, I don't know what I'm saying right now. I'm totally lost my mind. But the shock of it is still so surreal. I'll be honest with you. I still am surprised, shocked. Not. I just. It's so hard to wrap your head around. What has happened today. What are you doing, bud? You want to come up?
He always wants to come up.
Come on, bud.
He's been wanting to play tonight.
Yeah.
Go get his play toy.
I don't. Oh my God! I can't even get a word out. This is horrible.
So while I'm dozing off into space, I guess somebody wanted a new toy. Ask Paul what's going on. Yeah, new toy. Look at this. Look, he's bored. Yes, you are bored. Yes, you are bored. All right.
I'm actually gonna move my laptop over because I don't want to get wrecked by the cat here. So, But it's really okay. Let me just get hook this here. But my honest, but
Are you gonna put a table up?
I don't know what I'm doing. See, this is not going. I don't know what to do. I'm sorry.
Yeah, call a cop. I don't know. Call a cab. Whatever.
But let me. Going back to the state of the season here. Because this does tie into what events have what this ties into today's events here. You look throughout the season, mm, as I said, with the injuries, the inconsistency of the team. You know, the incident with Sam Reinhart showing 5 minutes into the team being there, and then you can stand the bench. I think, but you look at all these events, little events that popped up, and it wasn't one thing that I think led to the fight. It's never one thing, but you do kind of wonder, what you do kind of wonder if the players didn't respect that way didn't like the way Dan Boss was using them. There's a lot of questions there about the constant switch of the pairing, you know, or the way they're playing. They it just didn't look fluid, you know, on that end. So you saw the press conference, like with the players' press conference, we were all, especially.
Yeah, I hear you.
My thoughts are not complete right now. I'm sorry. So
You can talk about the players and their exit interviews. You can talk about different things. It's disheartening for a fan, and I believe there's many of our fans that are just even more dejected than we are. We've gone on and suffered longer and been following the Sabres a lot longer than we have. And it is is this a setback? It's a bump in the road that I I think might needed to be taken at this point. I think we might
how
look
far of
back
a
at our
setback? Because if we're talking about, we're not. I don't think this is like a setback towards another rebuild, but this is a pretty significant setback as far.
I some may say it will be considered or some people are saying it would be considered a setback. Some different outlets, I can't say a source. People have the right to their opinions. I just think
Well, let
that
me just bring this up here.
I'm hearing a
Yeah,
lightning strike.
yeah, that's not.
I was hoping that we didn't get it during our broadcast. I, I, it's yes, I get they're starting over again. Is it a bad thing? No. Does it really look bad on yours? Probably.
Well, that's what this is like the third coach, the second GM fired within the last 3 years. This is the fourth coach. Larry Ross fired. Then
that was under Darcy Gear though, and then they brought in Pat LaFontaine, and he brought in Nolan, and then after they brought in Murray, which
no, before Nolan, there
LaFontaine was supposed
Kevin.
to be.
It was
LaFontaine was supposed to be the president of hockey operations.
No, that Nolan was not before.
That was after LaFontaine got.
I understand.
Hired.
Well, hold on here. You're skipping. You're skipping the interim coach. The interim coach we had.
Ron Rolston, you mean?
Yeah, Ron Rolston. So Ron Rolston, then he got let go. So then you had no.
But that was still under. Yes, you're right. I did skip Ron Rolston, but it's still under Darcy Regeer's leadership and not Tim Murray's leadership. I think Murray was brought in after LaFontaine brought in Nolan. And then after Murray brought in, LaFontaine got relieved of his duties. And I think I think Pagula's always wanted to have a star in both of the things to help, but I don't think things have panned out the way it, it, that maybe he envisioned.
Yeah, but I totally agree with that part. But you at this point, I think
I think they finally got it right with Sean McDermott. Maybe Whaley goes
not
after
not
this,
to bring up not to bring up the Bills involvement.
but people are gonna bring up the Bills and the Sabres too. It's been pandemonium here in Buffalo. Trust me, it's like as far as sports news,
You
it's
know,
been pandemonium.
you know,
You know John Vogel, you know Jerry Sullivan,
well,
you
John
know
Vogel did reach out to Eichel yesterday.
yeah. Those Buffalo News has like to create stories that may or may not be true.
But it doesn't
And
every
they're
media have stories?
yeah, I know, but Buffalo's only the
Well,
news
imagine if
outlet
it was in
except for
Toronto or New York or Montreal.
yeah,
What,
yeah, but it's like there's a certain biasm with them, like anything else. But it's magnified by factors. That's the only newspaper outlet that we have in the city of Buffalo. If there was to give you a opinion, unless you want to listen to WGR, which you can get multiple opinions, which I appreciate when I hear Craig Gervais, Andrew Peters, Marty Baron, Dan Dunleavy, Brian Duff, Rob Ray, and then you get a different opinion from Schofel and Bojack, and then you get another opinion from Hammer and Simon. I don't even listen to those guys. I would love to, but sometimes I don't wake up.
Howard and Jeremy.
Howard and Jeremy. I don't even wake up at 6 a.m. to
Howard and
watch, listen to Howard and
okay,
Jeremy.
okay. This was the statement from owner Terry Bagula on firing today. Oh, sorry, that's I gotta.
This is from Sabres.com. This is
This
from
is
multiple.
this is after reviewing the past season and looking forward to the future organization. Tim and I decided to relieve general manager Tim Murray and head coach Jim News. We want to thank Tim and Dan for your hard work and effort they have put in during this tenure with the club. We wish them luck, and we've begun the process of to fill these positions immediately. This is a statement from our Terry Bagula here. He'll be having a press conference tomorrow at 10 o'clock tomorrow. You can see live on listen to me live on WGR 4550 and seen broadcast on MSG Western New York tomorrow at 10 o'clock.
That'll be interesting. The media will probably be
Well,
bombarding him with questions.
Okay. So if you were the media, let's just say if we were the media here. Let's let's try to ask. I'll be reporters, and you'll be Sherry Bagula here. Just kind of, I would try to figure out what sort of questions try to ask. So Terry, this is Terry. You want to make an opening statement? You're telling your Terry Bagula.
I would like to personally thank Dan and Tim on their contributions to the Sabres organization. Dan is a great man, a great uh, coach. I am not denying that. As well as Tim Murray, great man. We just felt we needed to make a change for this organization of the
Is this in
Sabres.
60 minutes?
What?
Is it the
No, this ain't 60 minutes podcast.
I'm just kidding. Sorry.
I didn't even set a time limit for this one because I think this is a big news. But going back to Tim Murray, I felt like that we need to
okay. I'm gonna
change the culture of the franchise, change the direction.
This is okay. So if I'm poor, I mean, what ultimately led to this decision of, yeah, you had a meeting with Tim Murray yesterday. Um, what was your ultimate decision to let go, Tim and Dan, considering
If I were Tim Murray, I
no,
mean,
you're
I'm
Terry
Terry
Bagula.
Brugula. I'm gonna probably say Tim Murray a few times. If I were Terry Brugula, I'd probably saying, maybe what I just said, but I think the lack of success,
So just
the regression of our team in the past few seasons, uh, it's unacceptable. I don't know if I'll technically say it, but our main goal is to win a Stanley Cup.
Okay, I'll have to cut you off there. But I just want there's gonna I I think
I would think you would say something along those lines.
yeah,
But
but I want to go back to what started this whole thing. As I want to go back to the Jack out comments that started yesterday about the reports of not wanting Dan Bowles as a coach. Okay, even there had to been some sort of validity with a disconnect between players and coaches. Otherwise, you know, I don't think I don't think it was directly. I don't think it was directly trimmed, but you have to believe there had to been some. There could have been some sort of disconnect. Tim Murray mentioned.
I think we mentioned that already with the part of the disconnect. But
Well, did you? I think did you feel like at times there was a disconnect between the way because it looked, you know, because you just the body language. All right, well, the body language of the players just like one may be up and all of a sudden be down here. So, I you looking back, I can see why there was a disconnect here.
no doubt, I just hearing from the players, nobody specifically mentioned that. I shouldn't say no players specifically mentioned that there was a disconnect, but you could probably tell within some of the interviews during post games and just in general. That it's just crazy. I'm I'm gonna say it's crazy, but it's just like I don't know what to comment on that with the disconnect, other than what's other been reported from different outlets and everything. I cannot, you know, I cannot truthfully comment. It's just whatever's been said. I mean, that's been reported. Um, that's just how I feel. I I I don't know what to say. I just the reports are out there. It's been well documented. I didn't want to believe it at first, but after today, it's finally situated out there. Um, it's just sucks. I mean, people are going to possibly label Jack Eichel as a coach killer, but they kind of labeled Sidney Crosby as that too. So, what do I say on that part?
Yeah,
But yeah,
well, yeah, I think at this point,
but
but there's a lot of angle. As I said, there's a lot. The other interesting point I want to bring up here.
um,
Um,
another
another
person
interesting point I want to bring up here
on
on
the
the
show
show
here,
here is
you know,
the the winning culture. The culture has been used in term as of late. Jack Eichel been around like about why the difference between saying it and actually wanting to win.
I agree. I agree. I'm not discounting that. I think some of these players, I don't want to say too much of the veterans, but some of the young players maybe are just happy to be here instead of taking the bull by the horns and you, you know and making sure you're staying in NHL and want hate the fact of losing and not you know being not being satisfied with your past game or your past performances. Uh, I I think that's the big key with all this. It's not like we said in the beginning. It's not just one thing. It's players. It's coaching. It's GM. It's ownership. It's a little. It's everything.
Upper
And that's what makes it tougher. It, it, and we saw earlier this year with before trade deadline with Julian getting fired and then being rehired by Montreal to head their coach, and then Boston changing their coaches. Florida, that's another example.
That's been I was gonna say that's been a trend all seasons. You start even start with the Islanders, you know, even starting with the Islanders situation.
Yeah, even the Islanders. I mean, yeah. I mean, now that I think about it, I mean, you probably could have fired Dan Bylsma. As much as me personally, I didn't want him to be fired. I would have rather preferred both of them stay here in the next year
Well, I
and
think
say
that's the
the
thing.
same thing.
I do not I don't think yeah, but if you were to said a month and a half ago that both Dan and Tim were going to be let go at the end of the season, I would have thought you would. I don't think both of us would agree. We would have you would have been crazy. Now, what I meant to because if I seen that possibly absolutely, I think there's enough belief with especially the way the team performed during the last half of the season.
I think it's gone
Exactly. No,
for the it's been going on for the past two seasons.
especially after the break is what I was trying to say.
I know, yeah, but the disconnect might have been going on well before.
True, but oh yeah,
Well, I
true.
think since last season, but I think we have some things we just don't have words for because it's like it's still stunning, it's still crazy, a lot of uncertainty for this fan base, which I can expect and imagine. We don't like uncertainty as human beings, and I'm one of them.
I mean, but I'll go back to what I said. But I'll go back to you now. It was a I, you, you know, this is oh my god, sorry. Okay, I feel like I'm repeating old shit again with this, but I just am having a hard time for words with this. You know how quickly it's gone. I mean, I'm just speechless here.
Did I forget to mention that Greg Royce and Rob Murphy are
Oh yeah,
gone?
that's part I forgot to mention it. There was the sky department. So this is truly a clean house here. But okay, so what it does do is now give us an option. Gives us you can
I think you could go.
well.
Sorry,
Oh my goodness, you are killing me.
go ahead. I'm sorry. You usually interrupt me for most part.
Yeah, you are really killing me. I don't know what you're doing. You're making me look.
He's like, "Hey, shut up, Fred. I want to talk. This is what I do every time I do it to Fred. I talk, and I talk, and yeah, Fred's usually speechless until today. And when Fred is not speechless, I go iffy on him."
Oh, breaking news is the NFL drops the full regular season schedule there, but that's another show for another day. Yeah, so what it does allow us to talk about is you know a bunch of lists a list of a bunch of exciting as much as sad there's an exciting list of general manager candidates out there and head coaching. But let me just start with the obvious. Um let me just start with this here. We there's the exciting part is like there's a whole bunch of different directions. We don't even know which direction they're going to go. But
that's the crazy part. I have no idea where they're going to go after.
Well,
this.
let me just ask you. I think you look at what he's been successful as of late. Columbus, the structure. A president and Columbus, Toronto, and Pittsburgh. The structure you have a president of hockey, the operations,
a GM,
and a coach,
a couple assistant
GMs here. Does that need to be the model going forward for the Sabres?
It's the trend that's going with probably most teams.
Well,
I can imagine.
I think it's obviously clear that this has got to be the clear path. I think that's what would be my first thing because when you look at
you don't want too many eggs, but you want enough eggs too.
Well, I think you're right. the trend now is that you're having multiple instead of just GM and coach. We've seen with Toronto. This is
As much as Buffalo fans love Toronto right now being in the playoffs. I can't stand Toronto. I want Washington to kick their butts. But anyway.
Yeah.
Maple Leafs still suck.
I can't even get my thoughts in tonight. Yeah,
This should be the Sabres. A decade of decadence. Except it's on an Edge DVD anyway.
Well, I will say, there's a lot. I was gonna say there's one of the league K's right now that's been reported. Here, I don't have it even.
Tim Murray was like this: $20 off 75%, 20% off $25. All right, whatever.
Jeez, Fred, you were killing me tonight. Here. Oh my God. See, I've lost my train of thought thanks to Fred here.
What were you gonna say, Master Jimmy?
I'm trying to talk about. We're in the subject of. Lean on the.
Post up WGR 550's list of candidates that have been mentioned today.
Well,
you can start there.
Well, yeah.
So you can help your thoughts.
I gotta find the list here. I don't know what.
Chris Jericho would say, "You just made the list."
Okay, so I'm gonna read. It's yeah, but I'm just reading. Some of the questions, but you look at. I'm just like we're gonna look at find a GM soon. Well, I think the first thing that the Sabres need to do is find somebody to be president of hockey operations. I think like deal like a Kevin Adams who's part of the Academy of Hockey. I think that's
I agree.
That would be if you want to go. If you want to go the experience route, maybe a Dean Lombardi of LA. Lindy Ruff could be a Lindy Ruff here who may not want.
If you want Chris Drury, Rick Dudley, let's throw out some other names that I have no idea. Mark Hunter, Bill Guerin, Jason Barrow. If you want Pittsburgh connections.
Yeah, but one from Chicago for GM.
Yeah, I heard about that too. What was his name again? The Chicago guy? What was his Nick Krapios? No, I'm just joking. Nah, shout out Nick Kiprios. I'm just teasing. I couldn't tell you.
Let's wait the process.
Nick Krapios.
Oh, Dylan Lombardi's and Jason Barrow here. McIver. Oh,
yeah.
Norm McIver.
Yeah, Norm McIver.
McIver is from Chicago here. Phil Housley could be a coach. Kevin Dineen. Kevin Dineen as another. Yep.
I don't know if I want Kevin Dineen. But again, I don't know what to tell you. I can't be wrong and I can't be right.
I think you look at those games. You look at Buttero. You look at Chris Drury from New York. That's a
Genie in the bottle.
Genie in the bottle there. It's a big role. I mean, I think I think that's what saying. You have so much direction here, but I think for me, I would probably go with the Chicago. I need like some. Dean Lombardi, I would have like a Czar, like a Dean Lombardi, a Lindy Ruff, or Kevin Adams. I think you need because what I meant to say was like they created a hockey department that's specifically for New York, a department for hockey that's specific to the hockey related issues, and no longer just and try to create this environment where it's no longer just on GM. It's like the president, someone overseeing the whole, like it's a delegation, more streamlined. I think.
Yeah,
I think. I think that's the direction I see this going. I think you. I think there's no other way around it. I think you know to finally get this ship on the right foot. I think that's the first. Then the GM next, and then the head coach here. So that's kind of what I sort of foresee. I don't see them going to coach first because we've tried that last couple of times and it didn't work.
I don't think it was the coach first when Ted was
Rick Dudley of Montreal. Senior vice,
Tim.
was the senior vice president of hockey operations.
Buffalo knows about Rick Dudley. He's been in Montreal for the last few years.
I've never been near about theirs. It was NBC color commentator Pierre McGuire.
I don't know about Pierre McGuire.
No, Pierre McGuire.
I know Pierre, my butt McGuire. No, I'm just joking. Pierre McGuire. I know who Pierre McGuire
That
is.
would be very.
Well, Dan Quinn is. I think Florida is also interested in him too.
Well, that could. Dan Quinn would be another interesting hire, given that he's coached Jack Eichel.
But I think it's more than that, though. If he can relate to young players, but also coach the X's and O's. The most recent example is Dave Haxtell in Philadelphia, where that's seemed to be a long-term solution. Seems like it's been working out okay for Philadelphia, and I was kind of dismissing that.
Well, not this year, right now. I mean, there's again. I think which route did they go? Did they go with veteran? Well, I think with the way
they could go both ways. They could go a mix between veteran and the youth. I wouldn't be surprised if they did that.
As far as the hockey, because I think what's coming clear is that the Bills need to create a hockey department team.
You mean Sabres?
Did you
say the Bills? I think they both.
Yeah, they do both. But you need establish a department, a hockey department that is going to be a broad spectrum from drafting, developing, coaching decisions, all down the line, which I think would help kind of restore order in his organizations. That can help with the accountability. That can help with getting the right people in place, the right players. Get this team on the right track here. Don't you agree?
Oh, I'm not disagreeing, but I think it's got to work better than it did the first time around when you.
They need to develop a true hockey department. So.
Oh, I agree. I am not disagreeing. I fully agree with you 100%. That it needs to be a consensus of people, a full hockey department, like you just said. If not, I think you're gonna have issues down the line because there's too many things for GM to do now. Besides scouting.
Exactly. You look at today's modern NHL. The GM, one person cannot be fully in charge of everything. I think we've seen as support this idea of a hockey department, not just a GM coach, but a vice president or a president. Someone, an overseer, as I said before, that can really delegate decisions here. So. So I'm gonna let Fred vent off some steam on some reporters here, and then once I need a little bit of a break here because my throat's a little dry here. Just to gather my thoughts. I wonder next time we do a show, we do a show with Facebook Live here.
We could try that.
Maybe get more viewer comments, because I think that will help our show a lot more. Kind of like
NFL drafts next week, so Emerson's going to want to bigly talk about that.
Exactly. But I want to use Facebook Live as well as YouTube to kind of. Hold on 1 second. I'll be right back.
Oh, commercial piracy, guys. Commercial pause in.
Oh, we just started getting more heavy rain again. I was just gonna say.
I think what ends up gonna let me rephrase that.
Want to make sure.
Whatever the Sabres go is going to determine the direction of this franchise for the next 10 years. It is just absolutely frustrating. Like I said earlier. And I'm tired of the Buffalo News blowing everything out of proportion because their egos are fed with manure. They're pissed off because they don't have a Stanley Cup to talk about. They 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 they've said this stuff before Terry Bagula ever took over a team. They were always criticizing Ralph Wilson and Golisano and Darcy Regier, which which is nothing new. So you got to be kidding me. In the 6 years of ownership, we're already fed up with Terry Pagula. And I swear to God that one more outburst from the Buffalo News, I won't even mention them in any podcast because I swear it's like being a darn bush out of its misery when you talk about some of the articles that the Buffalo News produces and the nepotism that they spew in their articles and everything. It's just like, and I wanted to say that Shope and the Bulldog remind me of Jared and Bucky, but I can't really do that. Tell me I'm wrong. Uh, I wonder what Kevin O'Neill's thinking about this. Kevin O'Neill, WGRZ, Channel 2. Kevin, if if you somehow ever able to listen to this, give me your reaction. I would like opinions. I'm just naming someone that I know, but not know well enough. Zach Reese, give me your darn opinion on this. Uh, I would I like to hear from you. Anybody that's into sports, please comment. The feeds up on my Facebook post. Uh, yeah, give me some questions. If anybody's not tuning in on Facebook, it seems like it's not. Uh, yeah, I mean, come on. I shared the link. You can comment. Uh, it's ongoing right now. Man, so we talked about our opinions on the firing. We talked a little bit about the candidates. I've gone off a little bit on the Buffalo News. A little bit of WGR. I talked a little bit about my personal opinions. Uh, Me personally, I'm lost as a Sabres fan right now. I'll tell you that I don't know what to expect. I don't even know where to go from here. I personally thought Dan would be with this team starting next season. I I think, like I said earlier, that I didn't think the job was complete. I would have hoped to seen that if they were going to get fired, they would have been fired next season. At least Dan Bylsma. And I know I'm repeating your shit, but I didn't think he was that bad of a coach. Like, again, things probably didn't work out for both of them. It happens. Just, but again, for the fans that
Well,
want Bylsma gone, I reason with you. I sympathize with you. I understand why you feel that way. And for the people who want Murray gone, I mean, I understand. And vice versa. You didn't want both. If anybody didn't want both of them gone, I would tend to lean on that side of the fan base. If you want Lindy Ruff back, that's your opinion. I don't know if I want Lindy Ruff back as a coach. I mean, if he were brought back, I think this might be a better situation for him this time around. But I you know, Phil Housley would be nice. I think he can relate to younger players, but he can also be keep everybody accountable. No different than Daryl Sutter. I think I would love Daryl Sutter, but again, I mean, the next few months are going to be interesting. The next 58 days are going to be interesting for the Sabres. Positive, negative. Uh, Emerson, if you're listening, you can chime in when you want. I think I sent you the invite, but if not, um, I'll resend it again.
okay, I'm back on.
Yeah. Anything you want to add?
Well,
I
well,
think I ran out of what I wanted to say.
well, man, I think again, I think when you look at the whole situation, when you put this whole thing in perspective, this is a season of a lot of disappointment. And let me, you know, where things, I think things are doing away. Plant, it's the old thing like one step forward, two steps back. That's what it kind of felt like to me. This was the team was it seemed like the team would take a step forward, but then take two steps.
It
Take two
does
steps
feel like
back.
that too. It really just feels like a step back, in my opinion. If you want to go there, uh, I don't. Again, I don't think in some ways this was the right move.
Well,
I'm
why
not
not? Why do
saying.
you think it's the right move?
I think there. Again, I think that Tim would have probably improved this defense. He was accountable last week against press conference. He knew he had to fix his defense, and I think he would have done that some way somehow.
Well, I think with his press conference thing, like he took like Tim,
Exactly, he took
but
responsibility,
you kind of wondered, there if his you kind of wondered.
and I want Bosma to prove to me that he could adapt and he could relate to players more, and instead of being more detail oriented, I wanted him to succeed, just like I wanted Rex to succeed, just like anybody who comes in here, I want them to succeed. Unless you do a horrible job, I mean,
Well,
where I just think you're an ass and you need to move on, like I did with Darius Regier.
but it makes me wonder. Hadn't Jack Eichel didn't get injured in the first 20 minutes, would we be talking? Could we be talking about a different story of them being the playoffs?
Maybe not. I think if you've watched the things play out over this year, you could have barely snuck into the playoffs, but I think it was more prevalent with the depth of our organization, especially with the transition and the speed that we didn't have for the most part, except when the young guns were brought up. I think that would be on Tim. And then again, I there, how can you totally fault Bylsma for switch up lines when there there was key injuries during the season? So
But then
that
you're
was even a tougher challenge this year. So that's where I have regrets and in some respects where I think they should have kept Murray and Bosman for at least another season.
well, I
I
agree
agree
with
with
you.
Unfortunately,
Unfortunately,
I
I
do
do agree with some. I think this is a little bit, but
but
given the circumstances, the way the team performed, if there was any sort of disconnect, I think this move had. I think you. I think. I think. But if Terry saw some, it goes. Well, they must have been
He
because
must have saw something these 2 days,
they've
more than 2 days of the interview that with Tim, and
or
he
again,
must have had it this. If he was gonna do this, he must have thought this a lot more than
especially
this past week.
when you say after the when the Kings fired Sutter and Lombardi, that could have certainly might have a role involved.
And maybe it was before that, but maybe that could have pushed that uh, uh, even the what you're just talking about even further to make this decision a week after the GM press conference.
Or, well, and that's the trouble.
If Terry Pagula had this in mind after assessing the season during the season at some point and finally decided to pull the trigger because he would have a plan in place to get a new GM and coach,
Well,
start the process.
let me also bring this up. Could could Terry have asked Dan? I mean, Tim say one fire Murray and Tim say no.
Or Dan, that could I think that's been talked about.
And he asked me there.
That
You know,
could
that's
be.
a, like
Why didn't you do something in the during the season
no, I'm like
or
no,
firing
not
Dan?
after like the asked me. He said like I'm sick of my coach and you know there's a lot of things.
Until Terry Pagula talks tomorrow, I don't think we'll totally know until he says anything. And so it's just I, again one more time. The Toronto thing could probably go go. I would say the Trump thing had a lot of influence the LA decision, and if he decided before the season ended that GM coach had to go, or even maybe confirmed more of this after this past week, uh, then that's that. I don't want to dispute what Terry's doing. You could criticize him for keep firing these coaches and GMs. I can imagine he probably doesn't want to do that. You could say someone's in his ear telling you that influence him. You could say that I don't know that for a fact. Until you know that for a fact, I'm not going to speculate on that. I mean,
Well, yeah,
that's the one thing I won't do is speculate on what Terry Pagula is thinking.
or Terror Chemical.
Yeah, maybe I could. Yeah, I could speculate I speculate what he could possibly say in the conference tomorrow. But say that he has many different voices. Tell him what to do now because he's just a fan and yada yada yada. I think he genuinely cares about both these franchises and he wants to win.
But may,
I can understand the patience is run thin with our fan base as well as the media. Uh, I can't dispute anything, right? But I'm kind of just like to the point where I do not want to go any further with the speculation until we officially know tomorrow. Just like I said yesterday, until they announced that Dan Bylsma and Tim Murray were fired today, I wouldn't trust any rumors until they made it official.
just unfortunately that day was today.
I didn't again. I didn't think
Fortunately, depending
it
on
was
what side
gonna
of the fence
be
you're.
both of them. So that just still blows me, even as we speak now. So I I just want to go somewhere far away right now. Not really, but
I mean, but I realize. No, I don't agree. You know, you get. But here's my frustration.
oh, Emerson did send me a video of South Park that kind of fits um this thing. Remember when Tim Murray about made the pee pee comment?
Oh, gee.
Well, the South Park thing clip of look his dick flew off.
Oh, gee, that's disgusting.
Did you think shit hit the fan and metaphorically that's what happened today?
Yeah, that's what it kind of feels like. Um,
How much else can I put
well,
into what has transpired today?
you know, I think we need to do another podcast so it's more full of kind of like break down the Sabres season what we're on here. But this is
I think we can talk about a little bit more if we get an opportunity to do an NFL draft special podcast, where it be during the night of the draft or not. Uh, we might have a little bit better grasp of what's going on.
I feel like this whole paragraph is made about just reaction, just kind of uncertainty, as you said. I mean, I don't. It's hard to put. As I said before, it's just hard to put into words. This is going on. To be honest with you, this is just like some of the most unbelievable, unexpected circumstances I would have foreseen at all. So I think I'm done with this podcast.
Do you think we should show off the haircuts?
No.
I think I might do that. Man behind the camera.
Yeah, man behind the camera is right. Oh, hey guys, we're here. Hey guys, I'm sorry.
Sometimes I get low sounding in the podcast, and when you get low sounding in the podcast, I think it goes stale.
Hey Brad, how you doing?
Yeah. Hi, Christmas tree.
Hi, Chris. That
Oh
sounds
God,
funny.
I think I want to end this so bad. We will get to the NFL draft next week.
Plus, more of our thoughts about the Sabres. We're gonna have better, clearer thoughts. We're gonna
It seems
try
like we
to
never clear thoughts on our podcast anyway, so what the
Never.
hell with it?
Exactly. Well, maybe we can get the Facebook Live post going. I think what we should do is do it like also on Facebook Live next time, so we can have fan
I
interaction,
think
so
we
get
talked
better
about it, but
direction.
it's just like I've done strictly YouTube, so remind me to do that next time because I'll probably forget. I just don't want the cameras on when we're doing a specific podcast that our location, let's just say.
Okay. Well, this is James Tiller.
I'm Fred, and I've had enough.
Exactly.
I'm fed up with Buffalo News right now. I don't know what else to say. Truly, it's like, oh my God, the sky is falling. It really is for not really, but it's like it feels like it for
There's
me
better
today.
days, Fred.
We pray.
All right. Over and out.
Good night.